without tariffs, this country would be in such trouble, as they were for many years. That's why we owe $38 trillion. And one of the things we're going to do, we're going to issue a dividend to our middle income people and lower income people of about $2,000. And we're going to use the remaining tariffs to lower our debt. We're going to be lowering our debt, which is a national security thing. So we're doing a lot of good work. And the numbers were reported so incorrectly. The real numbers are trillions of dollars have been taken in or gotten in terms of investment from the tariffs. And so if that were ever reversed, it would be a disaster. Frankly, it would be a national security problem for our country. And nobody thinks it's going to be reversed. I think we had a very good court case. As you know, it's before the Supreme Court right now. But if that were ever reversed, people are saying, oh, it's $1 billion. Some people said, oh, it's $2 billion. Well, that obviously we can handle very easily. But this is trillions of dollars we're talking about in terms of the tariff income and all the investment income that's come into our country. We have more than, I would say right now, more than $18 trillion. The biggest number ever is a tiny fraction of that for any country. China, the United States, the biggest number ever. If you look at the past administration, Biden, he did less than $1 trillion in 4 years. We're over $18 trillion. By the time my first year ends, we're going to have over $20 trillion of investment coming into the United States. It's unheard of. We have AI factories. We're leading China by a lot. We have cars and car plants coming in by more than we've ever had built before. All of that would go away if we lose the tariff case. So all of it would go away. So they're not giving the right numbers. It would be an economic disaster. It would be a national security disaster if we lost the case in the Supreme Court.
Can we expect
tariff rebate? This is an idea that you've been talking about for months. This is going to directly and positively impact millions of Americans. Why was this important for you to do, and when can Americans expect that rebate?
So I've been talking about it for a long time, the dividend to people that have suffered under the Biden administration. So Biden had the highest inflation in history, and we now are at a very low point. We're going to be hitting 1.5% pretty soon. So we're at a low point, and he was a high point. We did that. Food prices are way down. It's all coming down. And the biggest decrease, of course, is energy. And, as goes energy, goes everything else. Because when energy comes down, the oil, the electric, I think you're going to see $2 gasoline or something very close to that. In fact, we're already in the twos. But I think you're going to be seeing very soon $2 gasoline. That's like the equivalent of a massive tax cut. But in addition to that, the great big beautiful bill gives you a very, very big tax cut. And then you have no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, and no tax on overtime for the middle income and for even, frankly, anybody. But you have no tax, and the no tax on tips has turned out to be a tremendous thing. But when you think no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our seniors, it's the great big beautiful bill, which has been mischaracterized. But now people they don't want to talk about it because it's so good, the enemy, because it's so good for everybody. It's the greatest piece of legislation ever passed in the history of our country in terms of size. And hence they call it the big beautiful bill, or the one big beautiful. I call it the great big beautiful bill. It's an amazing bill for the middle class. It's an amazing bill for jobs. We've never passed anything like it. And in my first administration, so we had the greatest economy. Everything was good, but we're really outdoing it this time because we have investments coming in largely because of tariffs.